That was what they were known for. Okay? The only ones that believed that Jesus was rising from the dead was his enemies. I always find that really funny. The only ones that believed in him were the ones that were killing him. And then even after he rose from the dead, what did they do? You remember? What did they do? The guards came back to them and said, what did they do?
They gave money to...
They paid him off to say what?
It was a lie. Someone took it over from the tomb.
They said, here's some money. You tell them that the disciples stole the body, and if there's any trouble from the governor, just let us know and we'll settle. Are you kidding me? Wow. You know what that shows? The depths of sin in a human heart. I mean, the flagrant denial. I mean, they weren't disputing their story. They just said, change it. Even his enemies. That is another telling tale. We're going to get to that. But let's go back to this liar, lunatic, Lord idea. This is a very simplistic way of addressing this whole idea, because in our modern times, there's this tendency to be synchronistic. That's just a fancy word just to mean that, let's blend everything together. Christianity is no different than any other religion in the world. You're born in America, you're a Christian, but if you were in China, you'd be Buddhist, whatever. It's all the same. God doesn't care. It's all the same. That's synchronism. It's this idea that it also, another word for it is indifferentism. It's this idea that we shouldn't evangelize, we should just let people be wherever they are. Let's all just join hands and sing Kumbaya. We're all the same. We're all going to the same place. No, we're not. No, we're not. This may be a big shock to everyone right here, so brace yourself, but the church does not support syncretism or indifferentism. The uniqueness of the Christian message has been the hallmark of Christianity for 2,000 years. What does that mean? We believe and can show that Jesus claimed to be God, proved it with his resurrection, and the continued evidence for that is the existence of the church itself. Christianity is not one choice among thousands of religions in the world. You know, I'm a Bushman and I believe in worshiping this sacred tree, and that's no different than worshiping Jesus. Oh, yes, it is. Big difference. Well, I was raised in Saudi Arabia. I've been a Muslim all my life. I'm good, and that's that. No, it's not. Why? Because you have to confront this idea. Jesus claimed to be God. Now, he's either a liar, meaning that he was deceived in some way, or deceiving others. He was crazy, and therefore we should pass this one by for something a little bit more level-headed as far as religions go, all right? I mean, you're not going to follow a madman who claims to be God. Next, he'll be saying he's Napoleon, right? Ooh, I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. That's what you're saying when you're saying Jesus is a lunatic. Oh, I'm God. Really? You're either self-deceived or you're mentally ill. Or you're exactly who you say you are. And This is the distinction between Christianity and every other faith out there. And what does it fall on? Jesus' self-claim that I am God. We see it in the Gospels. Jesus claimed to be God clearly in the Gospels. How do you know that? Because the Jews several times tried to kill him. John chapter 10, Luke chapter 4. The Gospels have at least 3 clear incidences in the life of Jesus in which he clearly claimed divinity, and the people understood exactly what he meant and therefore tried to kill him. The fact that he ended up dying was because of that very reason. That was the charge that the Jews brought against him. He claimed to be God and wouldn't back down. Now, he's either deceived, crazy, or he is what he says he is. How would we know if he is who he says he is? Because his own words say, kill me, and I will come back to you 3 days later. That either happened or it didn't. It's not a matter of faith. That event either happened or it didn't. You can support it and substantiate it, or you don't. It's not like saying Isis raised Osiris from the dead. That's mythology. Modern critical scholars would like to lump the rising of Jesus in the same way as Isis raising Osiris from the dead. Here's the big difference. That's Egyptian mythology. Okay? First of all, he rises on his own. Without the benefit of spells or prayers. Second of all, Jesus was a real historic figure. Isis and Osiris is Egyptian mythology. The same thing could be said for Prometheus in Greek mythology, the ever-dying and resurrecting God. Okay? It's like modern-day critics would like to say this mythos is the same idea about Jesus. The problem we have is that Prometheus, Osiris, Mithra, all these other gods of ancient times that died and came back again were just that. No one ever claims that they were real people. Jesus was a real historical person. Even an atheist who's a historian would acknowledge that. Yes, there was a Jesus that lived in Palestine, period. He was a historical character. All right? So that's where the difference is cut off. The best gospel to look at this is Luke. Luke's gospel affirms the historicity of Jesus. I'm spelling that wrong. How? From the moment of his birth through his ministry, he keeps anchoring Jesus' life with other major historical figures. For example, let me get to the Bible here. Let me get to the Gospel of Luke. We're familiar with this because you've been with me through Christmas, right? What do we have here? In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that the whole world should be registered. This was the first registration while Quirinius was governor of Syria. So, what Luke is doing is anchoring the birth of Jesus within a historical framework. Because the people that would be reading this would remember Caesar Augustus. They would know who these people are. It'd be like me saying, the birth of Jesus occurred when Ronald Reagan was president and George Duke Machen was governor of California. Okay? You would know what time period I'm talking about, right? I didn't tell you the date, but you would know roughly when that was. That's what Luke is doing. Why? Because he didn't want his Greek readers to think that they were reading mythology. The birth of a god through the intervention of a deity. This was very common in Greek mythology. For Luke, it was like, no, you don't understand. This was a real person in real time. This isn't a myth. He further goes on. In the 15th year of the reign of the Emperor Tiberius, when Pontius Pilate was governor of Judea and Herod was ruler of Galilee, and his brother Philip ruled the region of Iturea and Trachonius, Lysantus ruled, you get this idea? You get it? What is Luke doing? He's anchoring the life of Jesus within a historical framework. When these people were alive, this is what Jesus was doing. This is why we can fix the time of Jesus' birth and death very accurately, because the gospel accounts are just that, historically reliable. We can pinpoint when Tiberius was ruling in Rome, when Pontius Pilate was ruling in Judea, when Herod was ruling in Galilee, etc. When the priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas was going on, we know exactly when this was. 27 AD. Roughly spring. How do you know that? Because Jesus, according to the Gospel of John, began his ministry around Passover. And it's in John's Gospel that we get how long Jesus' ministry was. 3 Passovers long. That's how long it lasted. Where do we get these details from? It's from the Gospels. I'm not even saying they're religious documents. They're historical documents. They're pinpointing the actuality of Jesus' life. There was one more here. Oh, I like this. Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his work. This is where we get the idea of how old Jesus was, because the Gospels tell us. This is Luke's Gospel. Luke is the best in writing and anchoring the life of Christ in history. If we didn't have the Gospel of Luke, we wouldn't have half of the clues that we have as to when and where Jesus was ministering. That alone says something. Here was a real historical figure walking and talking with these other historical figures that you know of. Many of them were still alive by the time Luke was writing this. Many of them were still alive, so you knew where they were. Okay? So here's this figure, Jesus. What does he keep saying about himself? I am God. I'll give you an example of that. I keep mentioning that. Well, give me an example of when he claimed to be God. All right, well, fine. Let's go to John 8. This is one of the early times. Here's one of those times. Jesus answered them, Abraham is our father. Jesus said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you'd be doing what Abraham did, but now you're trying to kill me. A man has told you the truth that I heard from God. This is not what Abraham did. You are indeed doing what your father does. They said, we are not illegitimate. We have one Father, God himself. Jesus said, if God were your father, you would love me, for I came from God, and now I am here. I did not come on my own, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? Is it because you cannot accept my word? You are from your father, the devil. Ooh. What happened to gentle Jesus, nicey? I tell you, Jesus was not nice. He wasn't. He told it like it is. I mean, he just stood right there and said it. He didn't have time for that. Your soul is in danger. You know, I said if I write a book, my book is Jesus Was Not Nice. Well, someone beat me to it. I saw it from Ignatius Press as a book by Father so-and-so. Wrote a book, Jesus Is Not Nice. And I said, darn it, someone beat me to it. Someone's picked up already on this idea that Jesus, like the prophets before him, was not interested in getting your approval. He was not interested that you were agreeing with him. He was interested that you believed in him and that you